We have to change the
It happens to everyone. Waiting in line for your morning coffee, you scroll social media and news on your phone. What you find depresses you. Thousands of migrants are fleeing a civil war, risking their lives only to be turned back at borders. Speculations have sent the housing markets into a frenzy, and employment numbers are tumbling down. Journalists have uncovered a decades-long cover-up of child abuse by coaches and doctors within competitive gymnastics in your country. Closing the news app, you open your family group chat. Maybe one of your siblings has posted something funny, and at this rate, you could use some cheering up. The group chat has blown up overnight, and what you see makes your heart sink. Bushfires are raging again, and there's one burning only 2 suburbs over from where your cousins live. Everyone is frantic with worry. At this point, you walk away, coffee in hand, tense, miserable, and confused. You think, this can't go on. Something needs to be done. Someone needs to step up. We need a plan to fix all this social injustice, economic chaos, and environmental destruction. This is where the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, come in. Fixing the kinds of problems that bring your entire day down in the morning coffee line can't happen in just one way. The SDGs cover sustainability from different angles: socially, economically, and environmentally. They set global goals for the 3 Ps: people, planet, and prosperity. The SDGs form the heart of the 2030 Agenda, an action plan adopted by all 193 countries of the United Nations. They call for decent jobs, quality education, good health, gender and income equality, clean energy and water, biodiversity, and climate action. They aim to reach sustainable development by 2030. Governments play a key role in achieving these goals, but they're not the only players. Businesses, civil society, Indigenous leaders, academia, and the general public all contribute as well. You might wonder where they were born in 2012 at the Rio+20, a UN conference on sustainable development in Rio de Janeiro, which was the largest conference ever held by the UN. Until 2012, there were different international agreements that dealt with environmental challenges such as climate change and biodiversity loss. And there were the Millennium Development Goals, MDGs, that aim to achieve certain social targets in developing countries by the year 2015. The countries meeting at Rio+20 decided that a more comprehensive set of universal goals was needed to tackle the urgent social, economic, and environmental challenges facing the world. This kicked off the broadest consultation ever run by the UN. An unprecedented effort was made to get input from as many people as possible, particularly those who don't often get a say in international agreements. Over 10 million people around the world participated in the consultations and helped shape the SDGs. Apart from national governments, major stakeholder groups that were consulted included women, children and youth, Indigenous peoples, NGOs, local authorities, workers and trade unions, business and industry, scientific and technological community, and farmers. I am pleased to share some good news for people and planet. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said to a packed room of press delegates. The good news? After 3 years of negotiations and debate, 193 countries had agreed to a set of development goals more bold and ambitious than anything that has come before them, the SDGs. The due date for the SDGs is the year 2030, which makes the 2020s the decade to deliver. But how can we know if progress on any of these monumental issues has been made? The 17 SDGs are built on an evidence-based framework of 169 quantitative targets and 232 indicators that accompany them. This ensures that the SDGs are clear, concise, time-bound, and measurable, which helps governments and decision-makers to include the SDGs in their planning. This means that we can keep track on each of the SDGs' progress. To achieve the SDGs, all countries are expected to set up policies and investment plans, and to use the targets and indicators to track their progress. They then report their progress to the UN. This is done through voluntary national reviews, VNRs, with a selection of countries reporting each year. Most countries, including Australia, have already submitted their first VNR. Governments are crucial in achieving the SDGs because they create and finance policies that support the goals. But all stakeholders have an important role to play. Industries and businesses in finding solutions for goods and services that align with the SDGs, and communities and individuals in supporting SDG initiatives and in holding governments and the private sector to account. Education, research, and innovation are all essential to achieve the SDGs. So universities, with their ability to create and disseminate knowledge and solutions, play an absolutely vital role. You can probably already tell that reaching the SDGs will be no small feat. All responses, from the global to the national to the local, even down to the individual, need to be coherent and aligned. But progress to date has been slow, so that it becomes very clear now that a much deeper, faster, and more ambitious response is needed from governments, businesses, and communities. Many experts say that in order to achieve the SDGs, we need societal transformations now that are unprecedented in human history and which represent a profound departure from business as usual. You may feel like the challenges are too big and too many. After all, you're just one person. But think about it this way. Every time you spend money, you have an opportunity to spend your money better. Every time you talk to someone, you have an opportunity to challenge their ideas for the better. You can seize these opportunities every day, 365 days a year. And of course, every couple of years, you have the opportunity to vote for the better, not just in national elections, but in local ones too. That is an immense potential that lies with you and every other individual. The SDGs give us a roadmap for making the right choices and arriving at the right answers. Don't forget, together, we are 7.8 billion people. Together, we can make big changes happen. It happens to everyone. Waiting in line for your morning coffee, you scroll social media and news on your phone. What you find depresses you. Thousands of migrants are fleeing a civil war, risking their lives only to be turned back at borders. Speculations have sent the housing markets into a frenzy, and employment numbers are tumbling down. Journalists have uncovered a decades-long cover-up of child abuse by coaches and doctors within competitive gymnastics in your country. Closing the news app, you open your family group chat. Maybe one of your siblings has posted something funny, and at this rate, you could use some cheering up. The group chat has blown up overnight, and what you see makes your heart sink. Bushfires are raging again, and there's one burning only 2 suburbs over from where your cousins live. Everyone is frantic with worry. At this point, you walk away, coffee in hand, tense, miserable, and confused. You think, this can't go on. Something needs to be done. Someone needs to step up. We need a plan to fix all this social injustice, economic chaos, and environmental destruction. This is where the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, come in. Fixing the kinds of problems that bring your entire day down in the morning coffee line can't happen in just one way. The SDGs cover sustainability from different angles: socially, economically, and environmentally. They set global goals for the 3 Ps: people, planet, and prosperity. The SDGs form the heart of the 2030 Agenda, an action plan adopted by all 193 countries of the United Nations. They call for Governments play a key role in achieving these goals.
Okay, good morning, top of the morning to you, everyone joining us from every part of Nigeria. We want to congratulate you for being admitted to the second quarter of the SDG Advocate Program. And it's a great moment, it's a great opportunity which you are benefiting from today. And on behalf of the Leadership Council, I really want to appreciate the Leadership Council of SDSN Nigeria to giving this out as 100% scholarship to each and every one. Yeah, I remember the time when I wanted to learn on SDGs. I can't even remember the amount I spent over. Oh, okay. Can you hear me now, ma?
I'm not hearing you. If you're hearing me, ma.
Okay, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, ma. Can you hear me now?
I'm not hearing you.
Okay. Hello. Hello. Okay, please can you check from your head, ma? It seems audible. I just confirmed from one
You're
of the
muted. SDSN Nigeria is muted.
Yes, that's our host for today, but my own network, I believe you can hear me. All right, I can you still hear me now? All right, our YouTube participants, I would just like to confirm. Okay, you can hear me now, ma?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
All right, that's perfect. Thank you very much. So I was saying something earlier, appreciating the Leadership Council of SDSN Nigeria, making these 100% scholarship for each and everyone to participate in the second quarter of the SDG Advocate Program. This is a great opportunity. I said, even when during my own time when I wanted to learn about SDGs, I know the huge amount of learning which I spent in registering to learn, and which we are seeing, which we've been given an opportunity to learn free today. And we are starting the program by an introductory part, which is going to be led by the co-director of Sustainable Development Solutions Network, a global initiative of the United Nations, in person of Professor Ngozi Odiaka. She is the co-director of Sustainable Development Solutions Network, Nigeria. Thank you for joining us this morning. We really appreciate you for your time. Good morning, ma.
Good morning, and good morning to all participants. I hope you're hearing me loud and clear.
Yes, we can, ma.
Hello? Okay, great. I'm so glad to represent my able director who is unavoidably absent in this. He would have loved to be here, very sincerely, but so much in his hands to do. So he has asked me to stand in for him. And I'm really glad to have this opportunity to welcome every one of you to this cohort. You will know that the Sustainable Development Goals were actually adopted by the world leaders in 2015, when it became really very necessary, considering in retrospect the achievements of the MDGs. These goals are actually considered as a roadmap to solving almost all the world's problems today. And of course, that is because it works towards closing the widening inequalities and diversities. However, our problems are still existing, and we cannot be treated, or we can't treat them in isolation. It is now more urgent than ever, really, to seriously engage actors at all levels to build strategic partnerships towards achieving this ambitious plan. And as we all know, that the Agenda 2030 is really drawing closer than ever. And it is due to every youth to get into action with great determination to make a change. And I believe that youths are the change makers. As you must have read through the program, the guide shared with you, the main goal of this program is to build a community of exceptional youth leaders who will actually champion and promote SDGs advocacy and implementation nationwide. We see this program helping to flip the script, thus incorporating education for sustainable development into schools, government agencies, private organizations, and individual households. The SDGs Advocate Program is actually designed to hold in two phases. The first is the masterclass session, and then the second one is the school and community advocate project. So for the next 12 weeks, by God's grace, we are assuring you that the transformational change and the knowledge that you will gain from these courses will add to what you know and what you will have. And I'm so sure that at the end of this program, you will thank God you were here. I'm actually to admonish all successful applicants to take every part of this program very, very seriously, most especially the advocacy project to secondary schools and also to local community groups, which is actually the phase 2 of the program. I can assure you that you are just blessed. I wouldn't say you're lucky to be part of those who are taking this course. I also want to assure you that this program is a lifetime investment, and the various opportunities that abound within this program will be a huge blessing to you if you successfully see it through to the end. And I must say this to you, that where there is a will, there's always a way out. When you are committed to it, when you are ready to take the bull by the horn, you will indeed be a change maker. Upon completion, all participants will be duly certified, given membership access to join the network. I hope you clap for yourself, because I believe you're going to do that. And as well, you will possess the global recognition as SDG Advocate and Ambassador. So on behalf of the United Nations Sustainable Development Solution Network Nigeria, led by our able director, Professor Labokbola, who is unavoidably absent, like I told you, I'm delighted to welcome you all to the 2023 cohort of the SDGs Advocate Program. I wish you all an impactful moment of learning and sharing. And I pray that the Lord will see you through. You are all welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Ngozi. I really appreciate that admonishment. I remember you said something, when there is a will, there is always a way out. Absolutely, we have to take the move for change, and it's high time the entire youth of Nigeria needs to act towards attaining the SDGs. And this morning, just like she mentioned in acception of our network director in person of Professor Popola, who is currently out of the country on some assignment, and he also sends his regards. And once again, we want to congratulate the entire cohort 2 of this program. Right about now, we are going to be having the first session, which is going to be an introductory section on what SDG is all about. And for this program, after this session, we are going to have a more detailed orientation session about this program, the entire phases, the timelines, and whereby you can ask questions, we answer your questions and all. And today we are having another great person in our midst. He's a development enthusiast in person of Mr. Mayokun Iyomo-Lere. He is the founder and executive director of Plugin Nigeria. He will be speaking with us on the topic, the evolution of sustainable development. And definitely in the subsequent week, we are also going to be having experts, not just academias alone. I mean, experts that are going to speaking with us on various aspects of the SDGs as it has been listed on the program guide. But before you start, I personally want to appreciate Professor Mrs. Odiaka for time. Thank you for joining us this morning in the opening session of today's program. All right, over to you, Mr. Mayokun. Hello, Mr. Mayokun.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, and we can see your wonderful SDG ring behind.
Yeah, thank you very much, Emmanuel. It's a pleasure to be here. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mayokun Iyomo-Lere. I am an environmentalist and a development enthusiast. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be part of this program, to be a part of the beginning. And I'm happy that this is happening because a lot of you are going to become champions and propagators of the gospel of sustainable development after the whole fellowship. Thank you once again, Emmanuel, and to the SDSN network, the SDSN Nigeria Youths Network. So Emmanuel, I don't know, is there a way I can interact with our attendants?
All our participants are joining on YouTube because definitely we have a good volume which we are training for this cohort and still below what we have in target. But definitely they are going to be using the comment section to make their comments and to send their questions towards the end of the masterclass session. And if there is any tool which you also want to use to assess them, we are going to send the feedback to you instantly. The program managers are on the call too, who are handling that as we speak.
All right. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. I asked because, sorry. Yeah, I asked because I always enjoy interactive sessions and, would have liked some quick and direct one, but we would push on from there. So I am to talk about the evolution of sustainable development, how it came to be, and how it's going. So Emmanuel, okay, your display picture is of the SDGs. I was going to ask you to help me to display some of those files I sent to you. We can begin with the SDGs, the one with the 17 goals.
All right, that's fine. You can just write on as we discuss.
All right. So sustainable development, breaking down the words first off, sustainability, it's a concept that describes That's the way I put it. Live and let's live. That's the simple explanation I give to it. Live and let's live. And it just shows that while you're living as a person, and you're taking everything that you need to meet your own needs to live as a person. You're doing everything, you're using resources, you're eating, you're bathing, you're buying clothes, you're wearing clothes, everything you do daily that helps you to live. You're doing it in such a way that also helps, in such a way that other persons can also live. So this means that you're making use of resources in ways that other persons also have access to the resources. So sustainability means sustainability, sustaining the ability to live and also let others live, especially the people that would come after us, especially the generation that is going to be coming after us. So sustainability as a concept refers to all efforts to make use of resources while not compromising the ability of generation after us to also have access to some of these resources. Now, a typical example, you all know we extract resources from the planet that we use to meet our daily needs. For example, all of you listening to this conversation, you're putting on a shirt or a blouse or something. So now that was made from resources that were extracted from the environment. So extracting these resources and making use of them to meet our needs, and also having in mind the generation that would come or the generations that will come after us, is the whole concept of sustainable development. So is there a way we can extract the resources to make these shirts without compromising the ability of the future generation to also be able to also have access to some resources that would help them to also have or make shirts during their own time? So that's a simple way to explain sustainable development. And the term was brought into formality first in 1992 at a conference in Brazil. It was a United Nations conference on environment and development. And it was there, there were about 100 countries in attendance, 100 representatives from over 170 countries in attendance. And it was from there that sustainable development was coined officially as a term, though it had been in existence since about 1987 from a report called Brundtland Report. It still centers on development. So there have been conversations about development from the 1980s, and these conversations brought countries together to discuss on how we can continue to, have access to resources without degrading our environment, how we can continue to build a social life, how we can continue to build economies for our countries, for our individual countries, for the globe in general, without hurting the environment and without compromising the ability of generations to come after us to have access to the resources. I mentioned that the term was first officially coined and used in 1992 at the UN conference. Now, many of the persons that were even active in 1992 may not be in service now, many of them would still be alive, but they may not be active in service in the whole United Nations framework. But they had conversations about sustainable development. They were thinking, they were planning for the generation after them. Now we are that generation, we are the people. I don't know your age. As at 1992, some of us may not have been born, some of us may have been born and be very young, but there were a set of people that were having conversations already about how those of us that were coming in as the millennials, as the Gen Z, are going to, there were conversations about how we would be able to have access to resources that will help us to live as humans, meeting all our needs on Earth. So that's the whole concept of sustainable development. Now, if some people before us were concerned about how we would live when we get into the planet, then we also have that responsibility. We have that moral responsibility. We have that human responsibility to also be concerned about people that are going to come after us. Okay, thank you, Emmanuel. Okay, that it's gone again. So we have that responsibility to also be concerned about people that are coming after us. And we also have the responsibility to pass this knowledge about sustainable development, about the whole concept of sustainability to the people that are going to come after us, so they can also have that consciousness, prepare the world for the people that will come after them, and also pass on the knowledge. And all of this, in essence, is to help to preserve resources so that we all do not just continue to explore and extract from the environment in unsustainable patterns, such that we are not able to meet our needs presently and the needs of the future. So that's a brief history about sustainable development. Then, a minute, please. Yeah, apologies. Emmanuel, now would be a good time to help me project the slide for the MDGs.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Yeah, I think I was trying to do that here, but I'm having issues transferring. Okay, so still in the conversation about sustainable development and how to manage resources while also solving what problems, world leaders came together in the year 2000. 2000 was the beginning of a new millennium. The millennium is 1,000 years. We had just ended, shifted from 1999 to 2000. It was the beginning of the new millennium. It presented us an opportunity to have a global conversation as regards this whole concept of sustainability and development initiatives around the world. So in the year 2000, about 189 countries were at a United Nations Millennium Summit. And from there, they were able to design and shape up what we call the Millennium Development Goals. That was in September of year 2000. Now, it was called Millennium Development Goals because it was the beginning of a new millennium, and we were trying to set goals that will help us to navigate the millennium in a sustainable way. So as at then, there were 8 Millennium Development Goals. That's the short form it's called MDGs, and you can see the 8 of them projected on the screen. The first is eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, achieve universal primary education, promote gender equality and empowerment, reduce child mortality, improve maternal health, combat HIV/AIDS, malaria, and other diseases, ensure environmental sustainability, and then global partnership for development. Now, if you take time to critically assess these 8 goals, you would see that it actually caters for a lot of the things that affect our daily living as humans today. Poverty and hunger, you begin your day most times with having to eat. Many people around the world cannot eat or cannot eat in adequate quality and quantity because they are poor. Then everybody needs an education you need to get exposed, you need to keep up with happenings around the world. Gender equality and empowerment, we know the issues around gender equality, how women have always been relegated, and now we are there's a lot of awareness as to make people understand that women and men have equal rights, especially in the corporate space. Then reduce child mortality. All of these goals just had ways that were aimed at impacting our daily lives and helping us to live better as people on this planet. Working with one another, working for one another. Then the HIV/AIDS. HIV was trending so much around. When we got into the millennium, it was trending so much, especially in many African countries. So there was a global effort to also curb it. Thankfully, it's been curbed now. Then there's the environmental sustainability part, then partnership, because achieving all of this would require that people from different parts of the world, people in different parts of a country, people within a country and between nations are working together. So that was the Millennium Development Goals. And the Millennium Development Goals had a timeline of 15 years for it to have been met. That was the plan back then. And so in 2015, when it was time to assess each of these goals to see if they had been met, the countries, there's usually a yearly gathering of leaders from around the world, United Nations Conference, General Assembly each year, and it was time to assess these 8 goals to see if they were accomplished, and if all the goals, if all the targets that were set for these Millennium Development Goals were accomplished. And painfully, many of them were not accomplished. That's the targets that were set for them. But of course, there was progress. There was a lot of progress. One of the progress was that the number of deaths of children under 5 years of age fell from 12.7 million to in 1990 to 6.3 million in 2013. So that was the number was halved. Remember that goal 4 is reduced child mortality. So the number was halved in 2013 from 1990. Then in developing countries, the percentage of underweight children when under 5 years old dropped from 28% to 17% from 1990 to 2013. Globally, HIV infections declined by 38% between 2001 and 2013. That's speaking to goal 6. Then existing cases of tuberculosis were seen to be declining, and deaths related to HIV and other health issues were also seen to be declining. Then the world, the United, a good part of it was that the MDG target that dealt with granting access to safe drinking water was almost fully accomplished. That would fall under the ensure environmental sustainability. So when the leaders of the world reviewed the MDGs in 2015, they saw that progress was made, considerable progress was made, but more still needed to be done. Much more needed to be done. And the world was even grappling with new realities, with new complex problems, with new issues that needed to be spelled out, that needed to be defined. We needed to separate them from one another and attend to them and address them directly, address them head on. So that led to the birth of what is now called, or what was named, the SDGs. That's the Sustainable Development Goals. Emmanuel, if you could help me present the picture where the MDGs is transiting. I think I sent you about 2 or 3 of that. The MDGs transiting to the SDGs. Okay, thank you very much, Emmanuel. Yeah, so from MDGs to SDGs. So the only difference here is Millennium changed to Sustainable. So from Millennium Development Goals to Sustainable Development Goals. And as you can see, we still had the 8 MDGs that changed to the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, what was done with the SDGs? A couple of other goals were added, and some of the ones that were enshrined together in the MDGs were broken down, were separated, so that more focus could be given to each of the problem. For example, you see that the #1 MDG was eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. If you look at the SDGs, #1 is no poverty, and #2 is zero hunger. So that was separated into 2 different goals. #3 is good health and well-being. That would relate to SDG 6, SDG 4, SDG 5, and MDG, 4, 5, and 6. That SDG 3 would relate to that. Then there's quality education. You see that we also have education in MDG 2. Then there's gender equality from MDG 3. There's clean water and sanitation. That would ensue from MDG 7. Then there's affordable and clean energy. Still would come from MDG 7, decent work and economic growth. Then we have industry, innovation, and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, and the rest of the SDGs. Okay, let me read them all through. SDG 11, reduced sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Then, of course, partnership. Partnership is always a very important ingredient in the world, in the global, in the countries around the world working together. So what was done with the SDGs was breaking down the MDGs, and we added on a few other concepts about economy, about industry and innovation. So now the SDGs became a more robust, an amplified version of the MDGs, and we have 17 sustainable development goals, 1, 2, 3 to 17. And if you look at this 17 and think about your life as a person, or you think about a country, it will be difficult to really think of any aspect of your life or any parts, any sector in your country that does not align to these 17 goals. It would really, really be difficult. I don't know anything you may think of now that does not fall under one of the 17 SDGs. It should most likely fall under one of them. Emmanuel, we could go to, okay. Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. Yeah, I was going to ask for this. So these are the goals projected. They are zoomed in here. Again, no poverty, directly addressing poverty, zero hunger, and the rest of it. So all of these goals have, all of these 17 goals, you know, so that we can be able to achieve them, they all have individual targets. They have indicators and they have targets. So they have in total 169 targets and over 230 indicators. Now, the targets are like sectors under each of the goals that would inform action points. And those are the things that we will now measure that would help us know that, oh, we have made progress with achieving this goal. So there are 169 targets of the SDGs group. Time would not permit us to look through all 169 of them, and there are over 230 indicators. Some of them are recurring and all that. But again, take a critical look at these 17 goals, and I don't know, Emmanuel, if we have access to the YouTube comment section, if there's any aspect of life for we humans that you think does not fall under these 17 goals, you can mention it and we'll try to talk about it. Okay, Emmanuel, can you help me with the slide that shows the pillars of the SDGs? So now, I mentioned that the SDGs relate to every aspect of our lives, and they also relate to every kind of profession that we may be in. So if you're a student, for example, and you're part of this conversation, if you're a worker, you're working, any kind of business you're doing, any study, any course you're studying, your course definitely aligns with one or more of these goals. And so the SDGs are built on 3 pillars. You can see the picture of a house with 3 pillars. We have the economic pillar, we have the environmental pillar, and we have the social pillar. So these are just 3 categories that helps us to place some of the SDGs in different place some of the SDGs in different categories. If you count what we have here, it is not the complete 17. We have 555 here, so 2 are missing here, but I think it was so that the image could have a good geometry. The people that created this did not want one pillar to be longer than one, but they all fall under these 3 pillars basically. So the economic pillar, the environmental pillar, and the social pillar. Now, there's a question I always ask when I'm talking about the SDGs, and it is that, which of these pillars do you think it is more important? This is a part I would have really loved interaction. So Emmanuel, I don't know, maybe in the next 30 seconds or 1 minute, if there are any comments in the YouTube session about the question I asked earlier and about this, which of these pillars do you think it is more important? The economic pillar, the environmental pillar, or the social pillar? So Emmanuel,
okay, the program manager is going to follow up with that, though we have some questions popping up on the YouTube session already, and they're also going to share them with us here shortly.
Okay. So I should just continue then. Emmanuel, do I continue or wait for the program managers?
Continue now while we throw that up.
Okay. So please help me go back to the pillar. Thank you.
Okay, let's do it this way. Just hold on. I'll see I can pop it up from here while they get those questions for you. So
okay, I'll be holding on then. Oh, there are a lot of responses. Interesting. I love this.
Coming up like that over and over.
Yeah, I'm seeing them.
So let me centralize more on that for you to. Okay.
Spiritual life is not in the SDGs. I saw that. Yeah, Emmanuel, you can go up. Let's just run through some of the comments so that we get back down.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you follow through as you are scrolling down?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can. I'm following. I was saying that we should go back up and follow it from the.
Okay, from the first person, right?
Top. Don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, so something like that. So we can just quickly run through.
Me, Ahmad.
Okay, Ahmad. Okay, so I asked which of the pillars we think is more important. Hello, social pillar, environmental pillar, economic pillar. Hello, sir. I did not see inclusiveness of persons with disability within the 17 SDGs. Okay, we have good health and well-being. The persons with disabilities would fall under that category. So that's for you. Dahiru, then environmental pillar, I believe. Environment first, the number of the targets, 169 targets, that's for you, Rabiat. The environment pillar is more important. All pillars should have equal level of importance to sustainability. All pillars are very important. No one is greater than the other. The 3 pillars are equally important. Okay, please, you can scroll. Environmental pillar, economic pillar. Hello, my name is Abubakar Dairo. Oh, you scrolled past. Okay, please just go on.
Yeah.
Environmental pillar. Okay. I think I've gotten good enough responses to the question. So guys, now I am an environmentalist first off, and many times people say that I say this because I am an environmentalist, that somebody who is an economist or works more as a social person may think otherwise, but I have my reasons and I'm going to present it to you. Now, Emmanuel, please, let's go back to the environmental pillars. Thank you. So we have 3 pillars: economic, social, and environmental. Remember that when I started talking about sustainable development, I mentioned that it was formally brought into use in 1992 at a United Nations conference on environment on the earth. So before then, when the word sustainability was first officially used in 1982, in a commission report about the environment. Now, what brought about the whole concept of sustainability and sustainable development was for preservation of resources on the earth. How to manage resources, like I mentioned also, such that other persons will also have access to resources. So the conversation started with talking about the earth, talking about the planet, talking about environmental degradation. But that's one. Now let's come back to these 3 pillars, as you can see on your screen: economic pillar, environmental pillar, social pillar. None of economic or social pillar can exist without the environment. You cannot have an economy and you cannot have a social life without the environment. And I'm going to give you a very straightforward and direct explanation towards that. Now, wherever you are sitting right now, look at yourself from head to toe. whatever you are putting on was made, or they were made from resources that were extracted from the environment. I'm putting on these glasses. It was made from resources that were extracted from the environment. My shirt
Hello, Mr. Mayokun. I think we've lost you. Just in a minute, you should be back, participant. So you can use the comment section to drop your questions or any other area of concern which you would like the facilitator for today to clarify. Why some of I know that some people are already asking for the attendance link, or definitely the attendance link is going to be shared later after the entire session. Then we're also going to have a detailed information session at the end of this training, at the end of this workshop. Just let's exercise some patience while we expect Mr. Mayo to come back on the call. Okay, I feel he's back online now and he's going to take it up from here. But please kindly use the comment section to
sorry everyone,
and comment, because he's going to attend to each and everything in the next 15 minutes, rather. So, Mr. Mayokun, we are glad to have you back on board, and we also appreciate if we can wrap it up in the next 10 to 15 minutes so that we can attend to more of their questions. And those who are asking for PDF presentation slides, you are going to have it. Yeah, definitely. At the end of this session, there is a link that is going to be sent to you. That's where you'll be downloading your presentation slides and other learning resources from. So the program managers are going to share that with you. I think, okay, over to you, Mr. Mayokun.
Yeah, thank you very much, Manuel. I'm sorry I had a network glitch. So I was saying that everything you see around you were made from resources that were extracted from the environment. And it is in the process of trading those materials that were made, or those things that were made from materials from the environment, that we built an economy. I don't know if you caught that. So the materials you see around you that were made from resources extracted from the environment, it is in the process of trading that we are able to build an economy. And it is in the process of using that we have a social life. It is in the process of interacting with all of those materials that we have a social life. And sometimes your social class is defined by how much resources you have, how much materials, how much clothes you have, how much cars you have. But again, all of these things were made from resources that were extracted from the environment. So the environment is the foundation. The environment is the roots of all this conversation about economy and social and sustainable development, because ultimately what we are trying to do is to preserve resources so that people after us, so that generations after us will still be able to have an economy that will help them to have a good living and that will help them to have social lives. So that's if the environment is well taken care of, if the environment is well considered in all our development plans, automatically the economy and the social parts are also going to be improved. Well, it may not be a straightforward equation like that, but that's the case most times. So Emmanuel, let's go to the slide where I have people, planet, prosperity circle with 5 P's. Let me quickly touch on that. And then I have a puzzle for you guys after. Okay, so this is another summary. Some people also call these 5 pillars of sustainable development, but the 3 pillars I mentioned earlier, those are the formally recognized ones, but this one's still coming in reference to sustainable development, and they present another outlook to it. So the whole concept of sustainable development is for people, first of all. It is for people. The reason why we are advocating for sustainable development and all that is for people, and it begins with protecting our planet, protecting our planet's natural resources and climate for future generations. Then from there, we end poverty and hunger in all forms and ensure dignity and equality. So planet, people, prosperity. When people prosper, sustainable development is being achieved. But we don't want people to prosper at the expense of the planet. We want people to prosper in synchrony with the planet. Then there's also peace, and there's also partnership. So partnership entails everybody working together within a country, people working together, countries also working together to achieve this whole concept, to achieve these sustainable development goals that we have. So sustainable development is for people preserving a planet and prospering in synchrony with the planet and also achieving peace. You'd find out that where we have issues around the world, it is because one of these P's are not positively in place. Now, in places where we don't have peace, in places where we have war around the world, it affects a whole lot. It affects the prosperity, it affects the planet, it affects the people in that region. In places where there's poverty, where there's no prosperity, it affects the people, it affects planet, it affects peace. In places where people are hungry, where people have issues, it affects planet. So basically, all of these are intertwined, as you can see in the circle, that they are all connected, and they are all making one full circle. So if any part of this is affected negatively, it's going to affect all the other parts. I hope we got that. So we all need to work together as people in different parts of the world, whether in your country, in your community, in your local community, in your nation, and around the world, to achieve this sustainable development. And sometimes when we talk about this, people tend to look at it in a very big way. Oh, since this was planned by the United Nations and it was planned for the whole world, so that means governments are responsible. They are the ones that are supposed to take charge. Yes, they are the front runners, they are the ones leading. But we also have responsibilities as individuals that are now knowledgeable, that are now conscious about, or that have knowledge of this concept of sustainable development. We have the responsibility to also propagate this knowledge. Now, if you ask many university students about sustainable, do you know about the SDGs? Many of them will tell you no, or many of them will have no idea. And in this world where almost everybody has digital access to the internet, these are things that every young person should be conversant with. These are things, this is a knowledge, this is a consciousness that will present you as a global citizen, that will take you from the confines of your country geographically and expose you to the realities and happenings in other places, in other countries in the world, to expose you to the global concept, to this global agenda to help to transform our world. Now, I did not mention earlier, the SDGs have an expiry date too. We are hoping, or the target, the goal is for them to be achieved by 2030. So from 2015, when the MDGs expired, we picked up the SDGs, and the goal is for them to be accomplished or to be actualized by 2030, so that by then we would have a better planet where people are prospering and there's peace amidst solid partnership. So again, the onus lies on us as individuals to propagate this knowledge to people in our sphere, and also not to try to live in exclusivity of sustainable development. Now, I mentioned earlier that your course of study, your work aligns with one or more of these sustainable development goals. So when you are presenting yourself as a professional in your field, or as an intern, as a learner, as a student in your field, try to always align it with one or more with these sustainable development goals that it actually aligns with. For some of you that volunteer, that work with organizations, If you are working with any organization that does not link what they do with the sustainable development goals, you need to take them to that level where they understand that we are solving problems, we are creating solutions, and our solutions is helping to contribute to the actualization of this goal and that goal. And when you do that, you are helping to spread the message, you are increasing awareness, you are spreading the word to a larger audience, and you are increasing the chances of actualization of the SDGs. And in your own little way, I wish we had more time, in your own ways too, you also carry out actions that will help the actualization of these SDGs. So Emmanuel, I think I will just end there, but if you can quickly project the puzzle and the trivia I have, so that I think that can be assigned to the participants after, just something for fun and to increase their awareness about the SDGs. So Emmanuel, I have a puzzle and a trivia. If you could help me project those as a final act.
Okay, Mr. Mayokun, may I confirm if did you send it to me via email or WhatsApp?
Oh, I sent it to your WhatsApp.
Okay, and I'm looking at the fastest means to just get it shared.
Okay, maybe I can take questions if there are questions. Maybe I can take questions
that are being
before
dropped on the comment section now. So please kindly check the comment section. We have a question from Grace George. She asks, how do we carry out this in our local environment?
How do we carry out these SDGs in our local environment? Most of us are experiencing security threats. So, okay. So if you want to act for the SDGs, other than creating awareness and educating people about this whole concept, this whole sustainable development goals, other than helping to teach people, to let people know that, hey guys, there's this thing that it's happening around the world. There's this conversation that the whole world has agreed to push. So other than that, where you're helping people to learn about that, I would advise that if you want to help to actualize the SDGs, you should part-time focus on 1 or 2 or 3 goals. You should focus on some specific goals and not try to solve everything. So what I'm saying is, you should not be in a situation where you say, I'm doing something, or I want to do a lot of things to be able to actualize the 17 SDGs. Actually, when you are solving one goal, when you are helping to actualize one goal, it automatically helps to actualize some of the other goals, because all the goals are actually intertwined and they are connected to each other. But it would be good to have that. As a person, I'm an environmentalist, for example. If I look at the goals, I can easily say I am working on SDG 6, clean water and sanitation, climate action, SDG 13, life below water, and life on land. Maybe I can reference some other ones, but I can easily say these are the goals that concern my work as an environmentalist, and I'm focusing on this. But when I am helping to actualize this, it has a chain effect on achieving other goals. So if you are already working in an organization, or you are volunteering, or due to your profession or the course you're taking in school, you should know the goals that your course or your profession or your work aligns with, and run in the line of that goal. Or if there's something you are passionate about, look at the goals that directly or that most closely aligns with it and run in the line of that goal. So again, except you are doing general SDG education and awareness, I advise that you focus on one or more of the goals. For example, Grace George mentioned that we have security threats in my area. Now that will take us to SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. So that means there's need for peace in your community. So now, how to start addressing that problem is, what is the cause of insecurity in the community, in your area, in your environment, where you mentioned that you have security threat? What is the cause? Now, if the cause is people are unemployed, and there's unrest because people are hungry and people just get to steal and all of those other social vices, then you know that, okay, we need to address poverty, we need to address hunger in this community. If it is any reason you identify, I'm trying not, I wanted to say something, but I'm trying to be careful because this is a public conversation. So any reason you identify for the cause of the insecurity in the area, now that's what needs to be addressed, so that the aftermath effect will be the peace that we desire. And when you identify those problems, it will definitely align with 1 or 2 of these goals. and you know that your end game is to achieve peace in the community. So I'm moving. I hope I answered your question to a good extent, Grace George. Then the next community, under goal 6 of the SDGs, malaria is not well combated. Today, no distribution of vaccines, even though there were reports of progress in malaria vaccines. Now, again, I mentioned that the reason why we have the SDGs is because the MDGs were not completely achieved. They were not achieved in full. We made progress, but they were not achieved. And so that each of those MDGs could have more attention placed on them, many of the goals that were combined were separated in the SDGs. So yes, malaria, especially in Africa and in many developing parts of the world, there's still the strong issue of malaria, but we are still making efforts. Governments are making efforts, organizations are making efforts, individuals are making efforts to push for better health systems to address issues like malaria and all that. So now, Oluwafemi Oguntimehin, so what are you going to do about malaria? Malaria is of concern to you. So what are you going to do about it? Which of the goals are you going to push advocacy or activism or do some working that would help you to fight malaria? Now, that would, if you think of malaria, that's a health and health issue. So you think of SDG 3, good health and well-being. Now you see that good health and well-being, it encompasses all the diseases you want to talk about will have to follow under that. So now you have to now mention that under good health and well-being, I'm working in the malaria space. I'm trying to help to reduce malaria occurrences or prevalence in this part of the world, in my country, in my community, in my state, and all that. So that is how you are contributing. So you are working in that malaria space to help to combat malaria and contribute to the overall goal of helping people to have good health and well-being. So Oluwafemi, I hope I answered your question. We have not completely solved it, but everybody is making efforts and you should contribute to that effort if you are not already doing something in that line. What made the MDGs to fail? And this is from Mr. P. And do you think that SDGs will be achieved at the rate of progress and knowledge of them in Nigeria and Africa? What made MDGs fail? Mr. P, so I would not say, yes, we did not achieve the goals as we set them, but I would not say the MDGs failed in total because we had an opportunity to also develop, we made some successes, not as much as we expected at all, but we also got an opportunity to redefine them and modify them into something even bigger and better, which are the SDGs. And your second question is, do I think the SDGs will be achieved looking at the rate of the knowledge of them in Nigeria and Africa? So that is why we are having this conversation, so that when we come to the consciousness, we also help other people around us to come to the consciousness of the SDGs, to educate others around it. And it is when people are informed that they can be able to take action or support action or contribute to movements or organizations or support their government in helping to achieve the SDGs. So in Nigeria and Africa, let us continue to spread the knowledge, let us continue to inform people, and let us continue to push people to act. Then by 2030, I'm sure we would have made very good progress. And by then we can sit and decide what we are going to do on from there. But if we don't act, if we don't help to spread the word, less people are going to be informed, like you pointed out, and there will be less action taken. Then from Monsura, we would see that in developing and underdeveloped countries, these goals are either not known or not being worked on. How is UN balancing political biases and achievements of these goals? Again, this question is similar to what Mr. P asked Monsura. So the answer I would give is that we as people need to do more work. Yes, the reason why we think these goals are not being worked on is because of the situation of these underdeveloped and developing countries. Actually, they are being worked on a lot in developing and underdeveloped countries. They are even hotspots for many of the goals, like poverty and zero hunger, for example. It is the developing and underdeveloped countries that have the most hungry people. Like Nigeria, for example, I don't know whether we are underdeveloped or we are developing, because before we could proudly say we were developing, but it's looking like we are retrogressing and we are getting to have more hungry people. So in places like this are where a lot of actions are actually being taken. But like I understand what you're asking. Again, we need to spread more word about it. It is when people are more aware that they can actually talk more about it, that they can try to hold their government accountable. Now, Nigeria is signatory to United Nations, a lot of United Nations conferences, a lot of United Nations agreements. Nigeria is part of this whole SDG framework. So how do we hold our governments accountable? How do we hold our governments accountable to helping to actualize these SDGs in Nigeria? How do we hold even the United Nations accountable to be able to actualize these goals in Nigeria? So it again begins from the place of helping a lot of people to be aware, so that a lot of people, these lots, can raise voices and call for these goals to be achieved in their countries. And balancing political issues with achievement of these goals, that is a big question, really, and we will not have enough time to delve into it. But one thing I would say is that let's remember that these goals are global goals. They are not just, yes, each country has their plans to achieve these goals in their country, and the United Nations is helping to also push achievements in different countries. But at the end of the day, what would determine if we were successful with the achievement of the SDGs or not by 2030? A lot of the metrics is going to come from these developing or underdeveloped countries, because you cannot record just for the developed part of the world and say we have achieved the goals, because since it's a global goal. So if the metrics here still take away the strength of the successes that we think have been recorded in developed countries, then there's an imbalance and it is not achieved. We think many times that the developed countries have these things going good, but they actually do not. But that's not the conversation for now. So I hope I answered your question to a good extent. Then the last one I'm saying here, how can the goals impacted on present insurgency we are in our country? Now, this is similar to the first question I addressed, the insurgency in our country. We want peace, SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. How did the insurgency come into place? What is the cause of the insurgency? That's what we need to address. So we can't just go and say, oh, where are the insurgents? Where are the bandits of all of these people? What is driving them? What is driving the insurgency? What is causing banditry in the country? So those are the things that we need to address. If we are able to address those things that make people become bandits, is it because these people don't have anything they are doing? Is it because these people are poor? If you are able to address this, is it because these people are yearning for some resources that the government is not giving to them? Is it because these people, their environment is being degraded and the people responsible are not catering to them? So if we address, we need to discover the cause of the insurgency first of all, and that is what needs to be addressed. That's where the solution would come in. And whatever you are addressing to address the insurgency is in tandem with the Sustainable Development Goals. Don't you think a major reason for the failure of the MDG is the dearth of application of indigenous methodologies in attempts to achieve them? Stephen, I agree with you. I so much agree with you that there was not a lot of involvement of indigenous knowledge systems. And we even still have this problem in the SDGs, you know, in cooking up many solutions and initiatives. Many times in countries like ours, we try to copy a lot of effort or a lot of solutions that we see from the developed world, forgetting that we have realities that are different here in our country. And so sometimes some of their solutions do not exactly work, even when we say we try to modify them, because they are not solutions that we design based on our own realities, based on the problems that we are facing. So even for the SDGs, this is still a problem, application of indigenous methodologies for their application. Yes, that reminds me, Emmanuel, I shared 3 slides, one of the SDGs in Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa, right? So that would even come in very handy here. So for example, there are a lot of people in Nigeria that are not educated, that do not understand this many Englishes. Amused me to use that word, all this big English. If you go and tell them all this, they cannot relate because they don't understand, they cannot speak English. So one of the way forward is to presenting this to them in their local languages. And we have had a lot of attempts, we have had efforts where people are pushing the SDGs knowledge in Yoruba, in Igbo, and Hausa. We need to do more. there are a lot of ethnic groups in Nigeria that are not necessarily or directly Yoruba and Hausa. So another way to increase the knowledge of the SDGs and help to increase the chances of their actualization is to educating people in the local language. Emmanuel, I hope you share those slides with them, the one in Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa, so it can also present a good point for them to teach people. Awesome. Then, Emmanuel, you please prepare my trivia and the puzzles. I would like to just speak to that before. And the last question here, Stephen Minoba, what are key actions that made the SDGs more achievable in the developed countries? What are key actions? Personal opinion again, I would say leadership. So now, these problems that we have here, hunger, poverty, and all of these that these SDGs are trying to achieve, there are still things that some developed countries are still struggling with. There are things that they have, generally, overarchingly, they are doing better than some of us developing countries, but they still have these problems and they are still trying to address them. So, when these goals came into place, these countries were already in a better place than us in Africa, for example, and they have continued to improve on that. So in Africa, we have also, you could say improved. We have gotten better. At least, for example, we have more access. We have access to the internet. We have access to information much more than before, and all of those. So these countries were in a better place when these goals came into play, and they have continued to improve. We were in a place before also, and we have tried to improve. So each country is actually struggling with its own reality. But the reason why it looks like things are working better in developed countries and those things are not working here, I would blame it on leadership and systems that they have in the country. In the developed countries, they have systems that are not particularly dependent on an individual as a leader. And, these systems are working, an education system. People go to these countries, for example, you know that you definitely get a job. And when you are working, you are getting paid, you are paying your tax, you are seeing you're seeing that your tax is being used for development purposes. In Nigeria, some of us pay tax, or some of us pay tax. Yes, a lot of us pay value-added tax and all that, but we do not really see the impact of our tax. And that's when we begin to come, why should I pay when somebody will embezzle the money? Now, if we look at Lagos in Nigeria, in Lagos, you can barely survive without paying tax for one thing or the other now. And we see that Lagos is actually developing. So that system is working, is getting to work in Lagos. And Lagos have been able to build on their previous leadership. I'm not saying Lagos is the best, is the model, or they don't have issues. I'm just saying that if we have good leadership and if we have systems that we institute through this leadership, we will be able to have these things work more. We will actually be able to actualize more of these goals in our countries, and the situation will be better. So yeah, this is a puzzle. Thank you, Emmanuel. This is just a simple puzzle. This is to help you to get more conversant with the SDGs. So maybe before you do this, you look at the picture of the SDGs, then you keep it away, and you try to match the icon with the goal, and the goal also with the number. So the first icon to the left of your screen now, the first one with the plate and the arrow mark coming from the plate, that is I think that is zero hunger. So you match it to zero hunger. Then what is zero hunger on the list of the SDGs? Is SDG 1, 2, 3? I think zero hunger should. Which one is it? Emmanuel, which one is zero hunger? Is it 1 or 2? Okay, so that's the game. That's
2. Wow, it will have been so awesome if we can play this game. We all together physically and play this game. Yeah.
That's it. And there's another slide. I don't know if Emmanuel would want to help us project and always reference about the int-oriented as Sorry, I had a network glitch. So I was rounding up already. Emmanuel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. So I was making reference to the other trivia slide. I don't know if you heard that it just shows some quick facts about the SDGs, how they came into play, and if you can also project that while I'm running. Okay, this is it. So this is it. I made this trivia about 4 years ago. There's 17 of them. 17 trivias, well, not 17 for 17 goals, but just 17 general trivias. So you can always quickly look at this and you get knowledge about the SDGs. So my concluding remark would be that these goals are robust. They are all encompassing. It's for nations, it's for the whole world. But being people, the fact that you are part of this program, the fact that you have registered for this and you were selected, you were chosen for this, means that you are a progressive person, you are a forward-thinking person. And now is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to help to contribute to what is happening in the world, to this global agenda to transform our world. Now, some of us may already be very conversant with the SDGs, may even be some of us will be better tutors than I am in the SDGs about.
Hello, Mr. Mayokun.
That is this awareness. Some of us understand it, but then for those of us that know that any effort, to help to actualize these SDGs are not to waste. So don't think that, oh, my effort is so little, I'm doing so small, or what I'm doing is not being recognized. Think of it this way, that if you are acting from your end, Emmanuel, I'm acting from my end, I'm doing the little I can here to make a difference. Emmanuel is doing the little he can to make a difference in his corner. You are doing, Prof. Mrs. is doing what she can do. You are doing what you can do wherever you are. Everybody is acting in bits. All of these bits are going to amount to bounties. And I'll give a very simple analogy as I close. Now, think of a drainage system. For example, if you're walking by the streets and you have a pure water nylon in your hands, and because it's just one, you've heard that don't litter the environment and all that, but you say it's just one, it cannot block the drainage, it cannot cause any harm. You drop it there in the drainage, that's just one, and anybody that sees it may not even notice it because it's just one. So if 10 people pass that route that day, and they also decide to drop their pure water nylons, that becomes 10 pure water nylons. Now it becomes more noticeable, it becomes more visible. Now, because there are 10 pure water nylons in that place, the following day, another set of people passing, they think, oh, this is a place to drop stuff, this is a place to drop dirt, because they can see some there already. Now, another 10 people drop there. Maybe in that community, there are 10,000 people. 10,000 people drop their debts there. Now, it builds up so much that it blocks the drainage and it causes problem, amplifies flooding, becomes breeding ground for insects, for rodents, and all that. Now, the problem piles up. Now, imagine if 200 million Nigerians, over 200 million Nigerians, also drop a pure water nylon in one location or around the country. Now, it becomes a huge problem. So, if we are over 8 billion in the world now, if 8 billion people, and some countries don't drink pure water like us. So if they also just dispose that, it becomes a huge menace. So the same way that the problem piles up from one person and amounts to much problem, amounts to a complex chain of problems, is the same way that if each person begins to take action and inspires the other person to take action, all of the little actions are going to have a large effect, are going to amount to many. I call it in bits and bounties. All of the different bits, all of the little bits in the different corners of Nigeria, in the different corners of the world, around the whole planet, we amount to a bountiful harvest of solution, a bountiful, positive and progressive development for the planet. So that's my closing remark to you. With this knowledge that you have, please don't keep it to yourself. Align your work with the SDGs, continue to push, help to educate others, and by 2030, hopefully, because of the efforts you have made, we would have achieved the SDGs. And even if we don't get to achieve it, as long as we have made considerable progress, that is something that will be worthwhile. Thank you very much for having me. I hope this has been worth a while.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayokun. It's been a wonderful session with you this morning. And on behalf of the Leadership Council of Sustainable Development Solutions Network Nigeria, we really want to appreciate the time you've spent with us this morning and the knowledge which you've shared with us. Learning SDGs, we keep learning over and over. We just have to unlearn, relearn, and keep learning over and over. The information which you shared with us this morning are so much insightful and really appreciate every bit of it. Dear participants, I believe it's been a wonderful occasion this morning and it's been a value for your time. Yeah, we quickly go straight to we deep more on the information session, and that has to do with the goals and objective of the program, which is well detailed in the program guide. Yeah, once again, thank you, Mr. Mayoko. I know you might want to take your leave, or why you still stay with us while we end the call, though we are going to end shortly. So the attendance link has been shared. Please kindly ensure you fill the attendance link and also give your evaluation on the course for this morning. The title of the course is The Evolution of Sustainable Development. And the objective of this program, we have 3 basic objectives, which we are all to achieve. The very first one is to improve the awareness and theoretical knowledge of Nigerian youths, increase, just like we are doing this morning, for us to know more about the SDGs. I remember he made mention about some university students that do not know about the SDGs. And sincerely, we still have a large population of Nigeria that do not know about the SDGs. So when we are talking about the attainment of Agenda 2030, we really need to speed up and scale up the awareness strategy, which leads us to the objective 2 of this project, incorporating sustainable development into schools and local communities. I remember a discussion I had in the meeting yesterday that in one way or the other, we are going to influence the curriculum. And we can do that. We can only do that individually and privately, just the private firms. We don't need to wait till the government implement that. Okay, they are changing the curriculum, bring education for sustainable development and the like. And the third part is develop and strengthen existing youth network to domesticate, engage, and monitor the implementation of SDGs. So what are we doing exactly? We are domesticating SDG Alliance across 36 states plus FCT Abuja, which has already started last year, and definitely you are also going to be joining the State Alliance after the program. And these are very key aspects which we all need to work towards. And another thing which I'm also going to share with us this morning the program structure is basically the program structure. The first part is the masterclass session. We are going to be having 5 weeks of virtual training. I hope, for today, we couldn't have 2 sessions. We are supposed to have 2 different sessions today. But the remaining 4 weeks, we are going to be having 2 sessions, 2 different topics being treated per day. And that's going to start exactly at 9 a.m., between 9 a.m. and 11:30 in the morning. We just have to sacrifice the time. I know many of us are connecting from school, we are connecting from work, and we are connecting from different places. While even some people are on the road and they are still connecting as I'm speaking. But ensure you attend the masterclass session. There's nothing like you are coming back to watch. Definitely the YouTube video are forever there. If you go on the YouTube platform of SDSN Nigeria, we are using another YouTube platform entirely to host this program. If you go to our main YouTube platform, SDSN Nigeria, you see the series of masterclass sessions which we've held in 2022, and we can still learn from that. But anyway, you're going to enjoy your own specially. So we still have that's 8 more topics to go, and the first one is the concept of sustainable development, talking more about the principal pillars, dimensions of Agenda 2030, innovation and technology for sustainable development, climate solution and sustainable energy, circular economic consumption and production, design thinking and innovation process. We also talk about achieving and mirroring SDGs, and also advancing sustainable development through governance and partnership. And the last part is project management and community development. In between this masterclass, we are going to have an assessment, which is going to be the first assessment, testing our knowledge on what we've learned so far. And also, we are also going to have a final assessment, which is going to be graded by the academic committee of the project. And alongside the learning, we're also going to have some self-paced courses, which we are going to share the link with you, which you study on SDG Academy. We have many of them, but it's very, very compulsory for you to learn this, to engage on these courses, because this gives you a robust experience, not just within what you are taught. So we are also going to have our live classes, and you are going to have the self-paced courses. Yeah, you can do that within the 3 months of the program, but just ensure you complete the courses before the end of the program. And the last part of the program is the advocacy project, which is a major prerequisite for the final certification of this program. I want to say this now. You might attend all the masterclass session, you might participate in the assessments. If you don't participate in the advocacy project, that is not going to qualify you as a candidate for this program. You have to come back and do the advocacy projects. I'm saying it, we have people coming back from last year. I won't say they carried it over. It's not a carryover anyway, but it's very important. You need to make that impact. You've gotten the knowledge you've learned for free. Then you need to also teach another set of people. So the advocacy project is into 2 dimensions. We have the Own a School project, and we're also going to be having a community development project, basically community advocacy. The Own a School project is you are going to select a school, 5-kilometer radius, your locale, maybe your workplace or your home. Definitely, it's very close to your home or your workplace, which you are going to execute your Own a School project for a period of 2 weeks. And I'll quickly share, let me see if I can share the program timeline so that we can all see it on the screen. Okay, just in a minute. Okay, so I believe we all have the program timeline. We can all see it. Sorry. Okay. So the very first part is the onboarding of participants, which has been done. We're also going to have the commencement of training, which is being implemented today. And the first assessment is going to come up on 2nd of February, 2023. That should be a Wednesday, I think so. And the next part is submission of school name for Own a School project, 3rd to 9th of February. So please start identifying schools that are closer, secondary schools specifically, that are closer to you, which you feel you can run your Own a School project. And there is a link which is going to be sent across by the program managers, and we are going to use that to drop the name of the school which you want to carry out your Own a School project. And between 10th and 25th of February, we are going to run the submission of the introduction letter for school projects. So what's this all about? For each school you've been approved of, because the project team are also going to review the name of all those schools to see that we don't have we don't have 2 advocates working in the same school. So, and you are going to be given an introduction letter which you give to the school management, and before you can kickstart your project. So, and also let me move straight to the community project. The same thing is applicable to the community project. You're also going to submit definitely. We are going to be giving you a guide in terms of school projects and community projects, which you are going to use to get more information about how to go about it. So the Own a School project, you are going to submit your introduction letter. You're also going to submit your proposal for the community project. And at the completion of the training, we are going to have a peer networking for SDGs. I know we have a lot of people that are advocating for Goal 13, that's climate action. We have a lot of people that are advocating for quality education, while we have a lot of people that are advocating for different goals. So we hope that we are going to have a peer networking and we get to know each other better. And the final assessment for the phase 1 of this project is going to be on the 22nd of February, 2023, while we commence the phase 2 of the project, that's March 2023. The Own a School project execution is going to hold between 27th February to 10th of March 2023. Please, I want us to note all these dates. And while the community project is going to hold between 11th of March to 31st of March 2023. At the end of this project, you're also going to submit a report of your own school project individually, and you're also going to submit a report of your community projects, which the submission deadline for your own school project is 1st of April, while the submission deadline for the own school project is, community projects is 3rd of April. And at the end of it all, we are going to have the grade ends with a virtual graduation and certification on 6th of April 2023. I think this details more about the program timeline. This is going to be sent to you, and you are going to have it via email. You are going to have it on the Telegram platform pinned, and you're also going to have it on your learning resources platform. So I really want to wish each and everyone a productive time on this program. Definitely, it's going to be a great and fulfilling time. And other information which I also have is regarding the WhatsApp platform for all the states. We are going to also section each and everyone to a particular WhatsApp group which has been created. Please, when you see your link, you don't have to join more than a state, most especially the states which you are currently based now, maybe in terms of work, or that is where you reside. So take, for example, you are based in Oyo State, you have to join Oyo State team. So you don't need to join Ekiti State, or you don't need to join Abuja team. Please join your particular state. And at the end of it, or each state are to nominate a rep who is going to be in charge to communicate with the program manager further to the end of the cohort. I believe these are key informations which I have. The program manager, the person in charge of communications, will definitely reach out to us over and over for all other activities that we might need to know about. And if you have a question or something you want me to clarify before the end of today's session, you can just use the comment section to drop that. Please ensure you fill the attendance, that's the attendance and evaluation form. Let me check if we have questions or comments on the YouTube session. So please, if you have questions or comments on areas you want me to make clarification. Okay, what's the frequency of the classes? Okay, the classes are not daily, it's just on Fridays. So it's going to be between 9 a.m. and 10:30 at most. Normally it should be 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Friday. And you can work with it, yes, you can work with a private school, just like Saddam Keita asked. You can work with a private school. So me as a full-time entrepreneur, we don't get one base. What do I do? Yeah, Grace George, you have a particular location which you know you are more based, and definitely you know that. And please, it's also because these are things that affect some people, that has affected some people from being certified, and they have to retake the program. Yeah, so you need to ensure you have a particular state which your state rep has your record, and you are also participating in their community projects. So you are going to have all the slides, you are going to have all the puzzle and trivia. Okay, from Omowumi Ahmed, is community projects individually implemented? No, it's not individually implemented. It's only the on a school project that's individually implemented. The community project is something you have to come together as a team, as a state. So or your state, you are coming together. Definitely you can have sub-team, but you are coming together as a state to work on. And we are going to give you different projects which you feel you can. But the most important thing is you as a team, you have to identify a particular problem in your community, mainly focus on a particular SDG. Maybe, let me take, for example, clean water and sanitation, or maybe you are focusing on good health and well-being. So, like I mentioned, there is a document which we are going to put on the learning resources. The link is also going to be sent to you at the end of this program. So, secondary school, basically, do we pick either the school project or community project, or we are doing to do? Yes, you have to do the both. The school project is your own personal project, and the community project is your team project per state. So, which other question? What is the duration of each session? Okay, for the masterclass session, each class is meant to be for 1 hour, maximum of 70 minutes, but it's meant to be for 1 hour. Will there be a guide on honest project proposal? Yes, you're also going to have all these which you are asking for. I want to see if there's any other question I've not really attended to. So like I mentioned, you are going to have the program timeline and every other information. Please ensure you check your email often. Let me say this for those of us that are not used to emails, and sometimes you like to check your inbox, but there are some mails that are sent to you that contains links. Normally, automatically Gmail programs it under social promotions. And there are even some emails that contain some links where it goes to spam. So as far as you're in the development space, you want to work in line to SDG, try as much as possible to check your promotion socials, not just your inbox, which you see at Forces standalone. So let's ensure we do that over and over. Okay, I believe I've been able to attend to all our questions. We look forward to having you during the next masterclass session. Kindly reach out to us in case you have any question via email, or you reach out to the program any of the program manager. Wish you a pleasant weekend and a productive one indeed. Bye.
We can be.
We must be.
The first generation
to end extreme poverty.
The generation
most determined
to fight injustice and inequalities.
The generation that saves the planet from climate change.
And this is how it will get done. The global goals.
A 15-year plan
for everyone, everywhere.
With no one left behind.
We will live in a world
where nobody
anywhere lives in extreme poverty.
Where no one
goes hungry.
Where no one wakes in the morning
asking if there will be food today.
We will live in a world
where no child has to die
of diseases we know how to cure.
And where proper health care
is a lifelong right for us all.
We will live in a world
where everyone
goes to school.
And education gives us the knowledge
and skills
for a fulfilling life.
We will live in a world where all girls and all women have equal opportunities
to thrive
and be powerful
and safe.
We cannot succeed if half the world is headed back.
We will live in a world
where all people can get clean water
and proper toilets
at home,
at school, and at work.
We will live in a world where there is sustainable energy for everyone.
Heat, light, and power for the whole planet.
Without destroying the planet.
We will live in a world where economies prosper.
And new wealth
leads to decent jobs
for everyone.
And we will live in a world
where our industry,
our infrastructure, and our
best innovations
are not just used to make money, but to make all our lives better.
We will live in a world
where prejudices and extremes of inequality
are defeated.
Inside our countries
and between different countries.
Where people live in cities and communities
that are safe, progressive,
and support everyone who lives there.
Where we replace
what we consume.
Planet where we put back what we take out of the earth.
We live in a world that is decisively rolling back the threat of climate
change.
Where we restore and protect the life in our oceans and seas.
Where we restore and protect
life on land.
The forests.
Animals. The earth itself.
With peace between and inside countries.
Where all governments are open.
And answer to us for what they do at home and abroad.
And the justice rules.
With everyone equal before the law.
Where all countries and we their people
work together
in partnerships of all kinds
to make these goals a reality
for everyone, everywhere.
These are the United Nations global goals
for sustainable development.
Let's get to work. Let's make it happen.
We can be.
We must